Hello, Dr. Shaw here, and welcome to another episode of Teaching Humanity Remotely. There's been some questions about how to teach children good citizenship, and I'm so motivated to discuss this because it's such a big issue for me. And what that really means to foster good citizenship is to teach children by modeling positive behaviors and showing them what it's like to engage in community activities, such as donating food to a food pantry, donating your time working at the Humane Society, doing extra activities in the neighborhood, maybe cleaning up. When my children were young, and my grandchildren to this day, we go to a park and we see garbage and we have gloves handy and we clean up the garbage. You know, we teach our children to not pollute and to even clean up other people's message. And one of the things I never understand is that a family will go to a park or a beach or maybe see a baseball game and they'll just leave their trash. And I cannot understand why we just can't all live by the motto, whatever you bring in, you just take out. I just don't get it. I just don't get why people would do that. And so we're always modeling things like that, because the thing is about good citizenship, it's kind of learning how to be a good sport. And good sportsmanship is so important. It's like knowing how to lose is more important maybe than knowing how to win. But knowing how to win is also very important. Like if I watch Jeopardy or something and a winner is humble, I root for them to win the next game. But if I watch them and they do something that shows they're the champion, that just is so distasteful to me, even though it's important to celebrate your win, but not at the expense in front of people who lost. Just feel good inside and people will cheer you on. So knowing how to win, knowing how to lose, that's part of being a good sport. And then being a good sport, which is an individual thing, even though it could be for a team, can lead to good citizenship. Citizenship means I know that who I am is part of something bigger, and that I have a responsibility to care for that which is bigger, so that I'm being the best I can be, not just for myself, not just for my inner circle of family members, but also for the world at large. Who I am, I have the choice that I can impact the world in a positive or negative way. And if I pollute, that's a negative way. But if I clean up my mess and your mess too, that's a positive way. So you can really learn that from a very young age. And I think it's very, very important. And the people who are asking me this question obviously think that it's important. So it's all about modeling positive behaviors that show your contributions to your community, and then encourage open discussions about current events and teaching responsibility through chores and age-appropriate tasks, right? So a 3-year-old can pick up someone's garbage at the beach. They can do that with a glove. I think it's very important to teach also good hygiene, but I think to show that I clean up my mess and I clean up messes that I see. And I think good citizenship also has a positive emotional behavior, such as being kind, observing the behaviors that you want to foster. So you want compassion and being kind, opening up the door for someone who needs it, giving the seat to an elderly person or someone who is not as able as you are on the bus and things like that. I mean, there's so many ways. And then seeing what it's like to be part of a community. So sometimes private schools can foster this more than public schools because they need the support of the families, but it becomes like a little community. And when private or public schools do that, it's really, really helpful. I just think that there are so many ways in our daily living with children that we can foster good citizenship, and I think it's so important. It's also talking about current events as our children get older, the responsibility of a voter, why it's important to have a vote, showing respect and honesty in your daily interactions, you know what I mean? And not being afraid to do volunteer work in your community. And all of these things show your children what you value. And at a time where it seems like politically there's so much bullying going on, it's very important to really have discussions about how do you show up to a bully? Do you just roll over and play dead? Do you stand up to a bully or ask somebody for help because there's power in unity and coming together? There's just a lot at stake right now, and so I'm so glad that 2 families asked me to talk about how to foster good citizenship. And it really starts, like everything else, at home. And how do you rotate chores in the house? It's a very interesting concept about giving money for your children who do chores. And I have no judgment either way. I don't want to pay my child or grandchild for cleaning up the table. We eat together, somebody makes the table, sets the table, and it has to get cleaned up, and you're part of a family, and you should do that. And I don't want to pay someone for making their bed. That doesn't feel comfortable to me. I want you to do all these things because they're the right things to do. They're what I value as a family member, and I want to teach that, and I want my children and grandchildren to value that. And I also want them to have some spending money. So however you want to divide that in your house, but in our house, I am very mindful. I don't want to give, let's say, my grandchildren money for having a good report card. I mean, this hasn't come up because they go to a different school and they don't have report cards. But I'm saying, I want them to see the intrinsic value of doing their best in school and having a glowing report, because that shows that they have skin in the game. I also feel that there are times that they could get rewarded, external rewards, but I don't want their learning to be based on getting an external reward. That's just how I feel. And if someone feels differently, I can understand that as well, because when would they get these rewards? But I feel like I want the gift of learning how to read to be the gift in and of itself, and not that you learned how to read, I'm going to give you $5. So that's just my philosophy. I think that any way a family does it is fine, but to discuss and say, the reward is intrinsic. You learned how to read, and I'm just going to give you a little extra because I'm proud of you. You worked hard. That makes, that's perfectly fine, however you want to do it. But the good citizenship comes from a sense of what is valuable intrinsically. And that might need to be taught, right? Through modeling that we as a community value so and so. And so we're going to foster that by showing you in our actions and not just our words. And then we're going to discuss it. And then if your child, let's say, is a young teen and worked all day cleaning the park, you might want to reward them with money as well, because that's like a little icing on the cake. But that's not the first reinforcer. The first reinforcer should be that this is the right thing to do, and that the greatest gift of doing the right thing is an intrinsic gift of knowing you did the right thing and you helped your community. And by the way, here's an extra 20. So I think it's all in there, however you want to do it. But I think good citizenship has to start with being a good sport. A good sport meaning I'm going to do the best I can. I want to win for the team. I want to win for myself. But if I did my best and I lose and the other team wins, I could be happy that they had a good game or that we played well. It's about process and not just product. As a society, sometimes we're just so product oriented, and that can lead to a lot of upset when we don't get the end result that we want. So, I'm in this process of construction in my new home, and I was really not liking it in the beginning because I just wanted the end product. And then I started to see that I was being irritable and irritated, and I said, Mindy, you need to make a commitment that you start enjoying the process. Every day you see a little improvement, and that should be enough for the day. And it really has helped me so much. And so the process of learning how to be a good sport, the process of learning that being a good sport then can lead to good citizenship in my community, that I can impact the world in a positive way or a negative way. And I have a choice once I become responsible enough to make a good choice, and that I'm choosing to behave in a way, take actions in a way that will enhance my community instead of hinder it. So I just think it's such a valuable lesson. And again, it's through discussion and parental modeling and teacher modeling, and why children feel so good when they're doing a fundraiser, let's say, to give money to animals that are extinct. There's so many ways in which we can foster that kind of civic mindedness and how that contributes to good citizenship. So thank you for asking this question. Feel free always to write to me at learnwithmeremotely@gmail.com. Until next time, let's all work and foster good citizenship. That would be fantastic. We can make the world a better place, one human being at a time. Thank you.